Welcome into PFF TV. I'm Sam Monson. He's Cam Mellor, and today we're going to be talking about prototypes for the wide receiver position, the multiple wide receiver positions, Cam, because let's face it, there's more than one way of skinning a cat when it comes to the passing game. Let's start off with the simple thing, the best route runner in the NFL. You wrote the article that's up on ProFootballFocus.com. Who did you go with for the best route runner in football?
We started it off out in Los Angeles. Keenan Allen, got to be the top part of his career right now. Underrated aspect of his repertoire. The guy just flat out gets open. Doesn't matter how he does it, where he does it, it's all over the field. 63% of his passes were actually with at least a step of separation last year. It's just a thing of beauty watching him.
Yeah, and that statistic, leading the NFL in terms of targets with a yard of separation, it's huge for him because he's not the most athletically gifted wide receiver out there. Number 2 on that list is Julio Jones, and Julio Jones is a guy that can run away from you, can just beat you with speed, physicality, just dominance, whereas Keenan Allen does it through route running. He does it because he's able to make you lose track of him when you're trying to cover him. He doesn't have the 4.3 speed to do that.
And that's where I gave him the nod, I think. If you look at all the tape and how he does it, he had the top grade on out-breaking routes, he had a top 6 grade on in-breaking routes, on slants, an elite grade on goes and on corner routes. Everywhere you looked at his routes, he was able to do it. He had an innate ability to kind of figure out where the defenses are. He was finding holes in zone coverage just as easy as he was running away from linebackers. So
honorable mentions in that category, but Adam Thielen, who I think has the best release of any receiver in the NFL off the line. Devontae Adams, another guy from the NFC North, with some really top-level route runners in that division. And then Antonio Brown, all the way over in Oakland now, has always been a top route runner in the NFL. Let's move on to slot receivers, though, because we've broken this down into 2 different categories. We've got the sort of shifty slot, the typical prototype New England Patriots type of wide receiver that operates inside, and then also big slot. There's 2 different ways of essentially operating from using the middle of the field, using those slot receivers. And here you're thinking those kind of move tight ends, even a Marcus Colston back a few years ago with the New Orleans Saints. Who did you go for the shifty slot prototype?
You say New England Patriots, and it was, you look at the past few years, it was Julian Edelman, it was Danny Amendola, and then the big slot too was Rob Gronkowski. But for shifty slot here, the changing of the guard, it's Golden Tate. Yeah. He does more with less. He has that yards after the catch ability, unlike anybody in the NFL right now. Most missed tackles along any wide receiver the past 2 years, and he does it mainly from the slot. It's just a thing of beauty. He gets open, and he's able to then turn the routine catch, the 2 yards down the field, into something much bigger more often than not.
Yeah, that extra dimension he brings in terms of broken tackles or just avoided tackles after the catch is a real X factor for him that he has above a lot of those other guys that don't really make those big gains after the catch. What about the big slot? Who's the sort of the supersized version of that?
So the supersized version now, for the longest time, was Rob Gronkowski. Number 2 behind him all those years was Travis Kelce. Sliding into number 1 now with Gronk's retirement, it's Kelce. And to be honest, actually, after the 2018 season, Kelce had a legitimate shot to overpass Gronk if Gronk had returned. The top receiving grade by far among all those big targets in the slot. Most yards from the slot, and that's among all pass catchers, not just tight ends.
Yeah, Kelce has this incredible, he runs like a wide receiver. He's not just a big body tight end who can run away from linebackers. He runs like a legitimate wideout from that slot position, only he's 250 pounds. He's got some absurd height, weight, speed kind of advantages over everybody else. Going back to the wide receiver side of things, though, we've got a couple more categories we want to look at. First is deep threat. Who is the prototype deep threat in today's NFL?
You got to go DeSean Jackson. I know I'll take a lot of flack, I think. There's a couple other options there, the big name receivers. But DeSean has done it more often than any other receiver in the NFL since he entered. We're talking 10 years of production on the deep ball, more yards, and it's by 1,000 yards he holds the deep yardage spot here, number 1. And he returns to Philadelphia, where he really got it going and really started. So I think, there's not a better receiver in the NFL over the past 10 years that can navigate the ball in the air while keeping the top end speed, while he's burning defenders. It's DeSean Jackson.
Yeah, he opens up that deep ball like few other wide receivers in the NFL. Consistently kind of gives whatever offense he's in that extra dimension that they just don't have when he's not there. And the one final category we want to look at is possession receivers, because there's a spot in the NFL for guys that aren't going to get open consistently. If you can make those tough contested catches, you can still be a really valuable part of your offense. Who did you go for here?
DeAndre Hopkins. It's the mark of consistency of wide receiver. It's hands and the ability to catch the ball, like you're saying, too. So contesting catches, Hopkins has it. Safe hands, he's got it. The PFF record for most catchable targets thrown his way without a drop belongs to him, a record he shattered last year. And if you actually go back to 2017, he has over 120 catchable passes thrown his way without a drop.
Yeah, we've seen some of those battles he's had with guys like Jalen Ramsey of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They go back and forth. He doesn't necessarily get wide open, but he's going to catch those passes in traffic with guys draped all over him. He is a legitimate possession receiver that can move the chains even when he's not wide open. So head over to ProFootballFocus.com, read this article full of prototypes. We've got prototypes coming for all other positions as well. He's been Cam Mellor. I've been Sam Monson. Thanks for watching.